Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Local Network Certification Training. I have my counterpart with me here today, Tammy Knoll, and we will be teaching you everything that you need to know about local network certification. And I can't see you because I'm sharing my screen, but if your network got certified last year, would you do like a big old wave with your hands, like celebrate and everything? Because we had so many networks that received certification last year. And we know that you want to do that for this year. So we're going to give you all the tips and tricks to make sure that you can get your local network certified. So as we're starting, I want you to go, if you have another screen, it works great. If not, then let's see if I can put the link in the chat also. Yes, okay. I just put in the chat the page on our website let's start over. I put in the chat the network certification page. And so if you go to WCR.org and go to network tools and then network certification program, that is where you will find everything you need to know. And this video will be housed there after we are done with it also. But the big thing I want you to look at on this page, if you need it, is the local network certification prep sheet, which is what we'll be going over. And I do highly recommend you print this out and have it on your desk or somewhere out so that you can take notes on it. Because when it comes time to submit your report, you're going to want to just basically transfer from paper onto an online document and hit submit. We will say that probably 5 times on this whole training. You don't want to fill it out online your first time because if you have to leave, you can't save the form and it's just going to be a headache for you. So if you do it as you go through the year, you're not hunting for dates or information like that, and you have everything right there ready for you. All right, in the past few years, we have really reimagined Women's Council from the local network model, the state network model, and even our regional structure. Along the way, there have been numerous tools developed to make our leaders successful. However, there's been one missing tool. Wallace Wattles says it's essential to have good tools, but it's also essential that the tools should be used in the right way. This is why Tammy and I are here today to help you. We're going to show you the who, what, when, why, where, but most importantly, how your network can achieve certification, creating true value for your members and your leaders. The Women's Council Network Certification Program is here. This program recognizes and rewards the most active local and state networks that achieve 5 key benchmarks of network excellence and that exceed basic model requirements while providing outstanding member service. We'll walk you through everything you need to know, be a pioneer, and ensure that your network participates and ensures that your network efforts are recognized this November on stage at our national conference in Orlando. Tammy?
Tammy needs to be unmuted.
Yeah, she's on mute.
Tammy, can you unmute?
Yep, I just did. I do apologize. I was on a roll. I was finding who's Waldo. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Let me start over. Boy, it's gonna be a good recording to watch, guys. Please spread the word. So who's eligible to apply? Everyone is eligible to apply. However, the current president of the network must submit the application. Presidents need to submit the reports. However, your president-elects need to be very involved in this process. This is your roadmap to have a successful year as president. I would probably go one step further and say have your team get together and review this application so all of you collectively together can make sure you get things in on time and you're accurate with your information. Now let's talk about some benchmarks. What are benchmarks? Well, there's 5 of them. 1 is member services. 2, leadership development and engagement. 3, administration and governance. 4, communication. And 5, recruitment and retention. So when does this take place? August the 1st, 2022 to October the 1st, 2022. And all the networks that do their local certification will be recognized and awarded at our national conference in Orlando. Okay, now here we go again. We're going to say this another time. The form that you have, please print it out. It's going to be able to be printed out in a PDF format where all of you, of course, can review it and make sure that you fill out the form in its entirety. Then go back into your local network certification, transpose the information, and hit submit between August the 1st and October the 1st. Okay, why? I can hear you all. I can't see everyone, but I can hear you saying why. This certification program is tangible and it's practical. It will ensure that your network is achieving certain benchmarks that deliver value to your members. Okay, so let me give you a quick example. You know, you have that restaurant that you go to, it's right down the street. The food is good, but not always. The service is a toss-up. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Aha. But then you have that restaurant right across the street, right across town. You know, Valentine's Day is coming up. Even if it's 30 minutes away, you will go there because they serve your favorite food. The food is consistently delicious. The service is superb. May cost you a little bit more money, but you will drive right past every other restaurant to get to that most famous restaurant that you love. See, price and value are not necessarily the same thing. When you combine both excellence plus consistency, you create truly exceptional value. And isn't that what Women's Council is all about? Now, this is not reason enough. Let me give you a couple more reasons why you need to certify. Participating certified networks are entitled to the following benefits: recognition at the award ceremony at the national conference in November, an electronic badge for display on your microsites and other network materials and publications, acknowledgement on WCR.org and notice as a certified network. Also, a press release created by National for the network distribution to your media outlets. Now, we recognize that when we rolled out the local network model with the assumption of live events, for the past few years, we've transitioned virtually, hybrid, and even a few online events, live events, Even with the various delivery options, you can still provide exceptional value. And we have seen this time and time again across the country. You all know what you're doing, okay? The certification program is tangible, again, and it's practical. It will make your network achieve certain benchmarks that deliver value to your members. Where and how? Networks will fill out the online application, which serves as a self-assessment tool to determine whether the network is meeting and exceeding the basic benchmarks that adhere to both the network model and the completion of tasks and achievements that meet and exceed standards. It is recommended that the networks begin the certification process early in the year and meet benchmarks by application submission period, which is again, August the 1st to October the 1st, which provides a 7-month window to achieve your benchmarks. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Tammy. And if you have printed out the worksheet or if you have it on another screen, we are literally going to go line item by line item and help you fill out the report. So you can watch this in August as you are filling out the report and know exactly what to put in every spot. So the very first benchmark is member services. This benchmark ensures that the local network adheres to the network model standards. So question 1A, the network adheres to the model standard on industry events. So you will enter the industry events that have been held or will be held the final quarter of 2022. Include the topic, speaker, date, attendance numbers, and as I said, for events that are scheduled after the deadline for submission of the report, you will provide event links if they're available and describe the event in detail. And 1B, the network adheres to the model standard on networking events. Here's where you're going to enter the networking events held or that will be held for 2022. Include the topic, if there's a speaker, a date, attendance numbers. Again, for anything held after October 1st, please give us any links or available information about those.
Benchmark number 2, leadership, development, and engagement. This benchmark ensures connectivity and engagement with other Women's Council entities, including national, state, and national liaisons. Let's talk about the leadership development and engagement. 2A, the president attends a minimum of 1 national flagship event. Elevate, which starts tomorrow, mid-year in May, national conference in November. Enter the president's name and which events were attended and are registered. National will verify. 2B, the leadership team has attended an orientation in the first quarter of the year, but by March 31st, 2022. For networks with state network support, enter the event which was held in attendance, subject to verification by the district vice president if you have one, or state liaison. 50% of the governing board attendance is required to meet that benchmark. If the benchmark was not met, you may request a copy of a recording at Jamie Saltman. It's Jamie Saltman. Let me give you her email address, jsaltman@wcr.org. And the viewing and the recording must be completed by March 31st, 2022. Now for networks without state network support, the New Year kickoff held on January the 14th, 2022 fulfills this orientation requirement. Enter who attended the event. 50% of the governing board attendance is required to meet this benchmark. If the benchmark was not met, you may request a copy of the recording to jsaltman@wcr.org, and the viewing and recording must be completed by March 31st, 2022. 2C, the 2023 president attends Network 360 in July 2022. Enter the name of the person who is attending the national, and national will verify. Back to you, Madam President.
Thanks, Tammy. We have a couple questions on this page, and so I just want to go ahead and address them now because I saw them pop up. Many times your state, for example, I am from Texas, and Texas does their leadership training and orientation in October historically every year. So many states host that orientation training, whatever they might call it, boot camp, in the fall of the year prior. So that does count. If you attended an orientation in December, that does count. You do need to have it completed by March 31st for it to, if you did not have an orientation. So I hope that answers that question. Let me make sure there wasn't another one. And I did type Jamie's email in the chat. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We're going to try and monitor them as we go along. We will review all the questions at the end also. All right, our third benchmark is governance. This benchmark ensures operational excellence through administration to ensure Network continue, the network continues annually. All right, 3A. The 2022 officers were Tammy, I can't talk today. Formally reported to national by 10/15/2021. So your officers should have been submitted last year. That was a deadline to submit them last year by October 15th of 2021. 3B, affiliation agreement must be signed. This deadline, I want to draw your attention to it, is coming very, very soon. It is February 15th. National will verify. And so on this blank, you'll enter the date that the affiliation agreement was sent. Now, I do want to remind you, if you are a current 2022 local president, this is actually signed by you. So make sure that you have signed and submitted the affiliation agreement. 3C, elections for your 20, and there's a typo on here. Just note there's a typo on what you're seeing on 3C as I'm reading it. Your elections for 2023 officers are completed by October 15th of 2022. I do want to note that some states have actually an earlier requirement than the 10/15 date, but national requires by 10/15. So here you will make sure that you submit using our online jot form that the officers were submitted, and then you would just enter the date that they were submitted. For 3D, the network has recent standing rules which are posted for public display on the document section of your microsite. So you would just input the link to your microsite there. And please remember, if you have a change in your standing rules, that you do want to update the newer version. You don't want to have a version of standing rules from, 2006. All right, 3E, your budget for 2022 is submitted to your state liaison. If you have no state network, your national liaison no later than December 1st of 2021. Entered the date that you submitted your budget, and whom it was sent to. 3F, the network utilizes an electronic file share system. This ensures that your officer teams obtain historical administrative paperwork, relevant information, and other tools to ensure that you have a continuation of operations. So briefly just describe what type of file share system you use. Are you using Google Docs? Are you using Dropbox? What are you using in your network to make it run successfully? And 3G, the network has officer positions filled and or replaces officers in a timely fashion. We know that sometimes people resign from a position. And so just make sure you don't go the entire year without, say, a treasurer. So resubmit your officers if you have any new officers throughout the year. And for this, you're going to list any vacancies that you had and how long it took for you to replace the position. Before we move on, I'm going to check chat real quick. I think there's some questions on these. The model standards, the network model standards are on the national website under the local network model. That would be drop-down menus on the right. I can't tell you exactly the words to get there because both my screens are being used with a PowerPoint, but it is on the model, and I will try and get you that link when we're done. Is volume good for everyone? I'm having a couple questions on that. Okay, the recording of this will be on that website, as I told you, under network certification program. This recording will be there, so you'll be able to watch it as many times as you want and have access to all this. The affiliation agreement, I'm having that question, is also on the national website under local network. You'll be able to find the affiliation agreement that you will sign. Let's see. We do not track, I cannot give you an answer to that, Eric. I'm seeing your question. you will submit all of these things on by sometime between August 1st and October 1st. That's up to you. If you want to submit August 1st, the forms will open, but we are not tracking it national. We do know if you've submitted your affiliation agreement, but there is not like a running tracker on the website of who has submitted affiliation or officers or even budgets to their state liaison and things of that. The PDF does not have a version, a save as you go version, I believe, but I do know that you can put it in some different electronic document if you want. The PDF is just to allow you to, again, we're talking about the PDF you can print off, to allow you to track everything as you're going along. Because, for example, in the first section on your industry events, you will need to track all 4 of them that you had. And so if you're filling this out in September, you might not remember how many you had in attendance in February. That's why it's a great idea to track as you go. And let's see. Yes, I recommend you save and print the document. You print the document and you have it just by your desk. And as you do an event or whatever it is, you can check it off like a checklist. So I think I captured all of those questions in there. If not, feel free to post your questions again. Tammy and I are going to keep trying to monitor the chat as we're going along, and we're going to move on. Tammy, are you ready for communication?
I'm ready. Okay, benchmark number 4, communications. Communications is about image and branding. This benchmark ensures that the network's image is consistent and meets standards as set forth by national. Note, network adheres to brand standards as outlined in the branding guide. I'm going to take this link and put it in the chat in just a minute. National will audit 4A through 4C to ensure compliance. If benchmarks are not met, National will advise with a 7-day correction period. So starting with 4A, microsite coordination between the teams 2021 and 2022 have coordinated microsite training, which includes but not limited to viewing microsite training resources on WCR.org. Enter how the 2021 and the 2022 teams have coordinated administration of this microsite. 4B. Microsite is used as a network's primary communication vehicle with current, timely, and relevant information, including the following benchmarks: current president welcome message, current strategic partners logos and links, list of events held or to be held, live or online, current officer photos, and current key network documents are posted. National will audit the microsites for compliance. 4C, networks have a minimum of 1 social media platform in using with timely brand compliant information. 4D, networks utilize systematic communication vehicles with electronic registration platforms in order to keep its members informed of activities and meetings, such as newsletters, MailChimp, group emails. Describe briefly your communication medium and how frequently you speak to the members. 4E, top 3 officers regularly read the National Roadmap newsletter sent bi-weekly by nationals and its content. Confirm by saying yes, that the applicant has reached out to officers to ensure they are reading the roadmap. Note, National has access to open the clicks through the rates to meet the benchmarks. 50% of officers must open and read the roadmap. We can see how many of the officers have actually clicked on it and opened it and reviewed it. F4, The network has a program that recognizes the success and achievements of their members. This could include social media shout outs, press coverage, awards, or other vehicles or programs of recognition. Describe in brief what you utilize and how you do this and how often. Back to you, Madam President.
Okay, and our final benchmark, recruitment and retention. This benchmark ensures that processes are put in place in order to recruit and retain members in order to have a viable network. It also assesses that the network has a specific strategy coupled with measurable activities that attract new members and keep existing ones. 5A, the network maintains a minimum of 30 Realtor members throughout the year. You will enter your membership count of realtors and National will verify in this blank. 5B, the network conducts specific recruitment and retention strategies, including but not limited to things such as calling or email campaigns, membership drives, etc. Here you will, in brief, describe the activities and what you've done and what you felt the results and outcomes were. 5C, how many members estimated did you recruit in 2022? Again, this is from January 1st of 2022 through the date of submission. 5D, what was your estimated member retention rate in 2022? And again, National will verify. To calculate the renewal rate, save your membership list monthly and compare members from 1/1 of 2022 to 4/1 of 2022. Typical renewal rates are in the 70 to 80% range, and members that were not dropped on the, and let me pause that thought for a second. When you're calculating on 4/1, members that did not renew dropped. And so that's why 4/1 is the date to calculate that. 5E, the local network has an onboarding system for new members, a welcome call, a welcome email, announcement in social media, etc. And to make it even easier for you, if you were on the New Year kickoff, we know that we just launched a new member onboarding system. So we have the tools for you to complete this. So what do you need to do right now? Sign and submit your affiliation agreement using the online form. Make sure that 50% of your governing board attends an orientation by March 31st. You want to read the roadmap for network leadership and make sure that your board is reading the roadmap, because again, you need 50% to be participating in that. Renew members and recruit. All of that is so easy to do right now. We have so many new members and lots of new member engagement with all the tools we just released for that. And plan and complete your first quarter industry event by the end of the first quarter, which is March 31st. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to stop share of that. Does anybody have any questions? You can type it in there, or we can let you unmute if you have a question. If you have a very specific local network, I'm going to call out a name and say the name of my network. Please do not ask that question aloud, because this will go on our YouTube channel. So if we're going to have specific questions about a certain network, then let's not ask them aloud and throw anyone under the bus. Debbie, I see you're raising your hand.
I have a question. We have our member list roster that is not correct, and we've been trying to get that correct since September. And there's members, like our past president isn't even on our member roster. Is there someone specific that we can talk to try to update that? We have members that say they've renewed that aren't on that list, and we just don't know who to talk to. We've been trying to, like I said, since September to get it updated.
Okay, my best recommendation is to email wcr@wcr.org. Give them as much possible information as you can in the email. so-and-so is missing. A lot of times it could be any number of problems that could be there. I know my local network came to me and said, hey, do you know who this person is? And it was a new member, and they're actually not even living in Texas. They live in Maryland. And so it was a user error and they clicked the wrong network when they joined. So it could be that you're not finding them because they actually clicked another network. There's so many different things. So I would email WCR@WCR.org. They have been overwhelmed right now. I can tell you, normally it's about a 48-hour turnaround. It's a little bit longer right now, but they will get back to you.
Okay, unfortunately, we have quite a few ticket numbers already out there, but we'll keep trying. Not trying to be
Okay.
negative.
No, if you
Fine.
have a ticket number, I wouldn't resubmit another ticket number. I would go there. And a lot of times they might have to come back to you. I would like to say they could resolve the issue very soon, but they might have to come back to you for more information. So
Okay.
I do as blanket to everyone, the more information you can put in the email, member name, contact information. And honestly, it is best for the actual member having an issue to contact them versus the leader of the network, because if it's an issue like their credit card was declined or something, it's a very awkward conversation for you to have and tell someone that, you know, I'm sorry, you didn't renew because your credit card was declined or something. There are those issues. So hopefully they can get your answer, your issues resolved very, very soon.
So Erica is asking, we had an industry event planned for people, postponed it to April 12th. No, it's not going to disqualify. You just put it in that you are going to have that event and we'll verify that.
Thanks, Tammy. The reason we postponed it was because of COVID numbers. So we did have it planned, but our COVID numbers in Michigan are crazy high. So that's why we postponed it. Should I add that when I do my application?
If you want to put that information in, you can, but you're still going to do the event. You just changed the date.
Correct, yeah.
Or is it possible, Erica, to do it like a virtual Zoom event? Because Zoom events do happen.
We considered it, but it's a panel with city planning board members from our local communities. And we just felt like a panel was much, much better to do in person because you get the live feeling of the audience, you get the live questions, and it would be much more interactive.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we
I
can see
see
if we can move it to the end of March if it's required for us to do it in the first quarter. That's why I'm asking the question. So-
You really are required to have a industry event every quarter. So if you can't particularly do that one, can you do an industry event and delay that one till later in the second quarter?
we can look into that, yeah.
That's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Yes, I see the request to go back to the last slide. I will do that in a minute. Let me make sure. Your affiliation agreement could have been submitted anytime after actually Network 360 last year. So if you submitted it early, there is no problem with submitting it early. We just want you as a local network president to have signed it. Okay, I see a question about uploading events to the microsite. Yes, you need to upload your events to the microsite. The reason you want to do that is it auto populates to the national site. So if I'm just perusing and see that you have a cool hybrid event or something like that, or I happen to be traveling in your area, I could pop into your event. So you do want to put it on the national, your microsite.
That was my question, Sylvia, and also to the Team Up calendar. So two separate, right? Two separate uploads for events.
So the Team Up calendar is probably something that you're doing in your own local network, or your state network has you doing it.
Okay,
It's not a national thing, so I can't speak to that.
Got it. Okay. Okay, perfect.
The microsite question about who has access to it, your governing board has access to it. Again, if you're having problems getting access to your microsite, first thing you want to do is make sure your officers were submitted. Or if they changed email addresses or something like that, that's the best way to do that. And I'm going to go back to this last slide real quick. So if y'all wanted to take a picture of it. I'm assuming that's. Is that what y'all were looking for? We can still answer questions. The difference between industry events and networking events, you're required in the local model, and I will actually pull that up in just a second about the industry events and network events. I just want whoever to get a picture of this slide of the things that you should be doing right now. And then I will pull up the place on the website and drop it in there about the model standards. I think we're going a little off track on the training. So if there are any questions, still put them in there. We're going to stay here. Tammy and I are going to help you through all of this, but I actually think at this point that Cindy, you can stop the recording because we're getting into more